So today we are going to talk about rhetorical effects, 8th grade ELA, and this is standard 8.7.R.1. So what is our learning objective? It is to understand the purpose for rhetorical effects in written, oral, visual, digital, nonverbal, and interactive text. Answer the interpretive and applied questions to demonstrate understanding. So what is a rhetorical device? Well, the actual definition is a use of language that is intended to have an effect on its audience. Repetition, figurative language, and rhetorical questions are examples of rhetorical devices, and we will look into that more in this lesson. So these are things like rhetorical questions, leading questions, loaded language, overstatement, false assumption, incorrect premise, fallacious reasoning, and euphemism. So what is a rhetorical skill? A rhetorical question is a question that you ask without expecting an answer. The question might be one that does not have an answer. It might also be one that has an obvious answer, but you have asked the question to make a point or to persuade or for a literary effect. So an example would be, is the Pope Catholic? Is this some kind of joke? Why bother? How many times do I have to ask you? Do you think money grows on trees? Those are all examples of rhetorical questions. Leading questions are answers that are hinted in the question and it implies the correct answer. So it would be like, Stonehill is the best school in the world, isn't it? Or don't you think we should all recycle? So that is what you would call a leading question. A logical appeal, those are to appeal to the reader's sense of logic. So it usually is used on argument based on facts. Advertisers try to convince you to make the right decision, smart decision, or the best choice in purchasing their product. So it makes sense to buy this. So something like choosy moms choose Jif, or save time and money with this. Shop smart, buy here. Those are what you would call logical appeals. Then you have loaded language. That is emotional impact beyond their actual meaning. It helps readers feel positive or negative thoughts about an idea. So in advertising, words with positive connotations are called glittering generalities or purr words. So that could be something like golden, mother, home, delightful, scrumptious, and success. There's also words with negative. Those are called snarl words. So things like ugly, unsightly, wrinkles, dirt. Words that are qualifiers, unclear, and purposely used to mislead words are called weasel words. So almost, virtually, and close to. Kind of like they say, you know, almost is only good in horseshoes and hand grenades. That would be something like a loaded language. An overstatement, that's something that's exaggerated to be humorous. So, like, I have a ton of homework. Um, a ton, obviously, you wouldn't have 2,000 pounds of homework. So that's considered an overstatement. False assumption, that is when an author assumes a relationship between factors that leads to a conclusion the factors do not support. Sometimes a false assumption may be true. Sometimes the premise may be true. However, the issue is the logic of the argument. The conclusion being drawn is not logical based on the premise. The assumption made is false even if the conclusion is true. So which sentence is a false assumption? Ice cream sales increase in the summer, violent crimes increase during the summer, or ice cream causes violent crimes. Which one of those would be considered a false assumption? So, incorrect premise. A false premise is an error in deduction. So, dogs have two ears, I have two ears, therefore I am a dog. Well, obviously that wouldn't be true. That's what you called a false premise. Or teenagers are known for being irresponsible. You're a teenager, so are you known for being irresponsible? No, that's considered a false premise. Then there's also something called fallacious reasoning. Fallacies are defects which weaken an argument. So fallacious reasoning would be something like an advertisement, media, TV, things like that. Um, Something that has propaganda, an emotional appeal, unsupported inferences, and it could be misleading. Logical reasoning is when you have academic writing. It supports claims with evidence. Anytime you make a claim, make sure you support it with evidence. Make sure it's credible and trustworthy of a source and the writer. Then you have euphemisms. So what are they? It's a polite expression used in place of words or phrases that otherwise might be considered harsh or unpleasant. I am not going to play that video. I will let you watch that one yourself. So why is it difficult to get things started in this school? What persuasive technique is demonstrated in that box above? Is it A, a logical appeal, B, repetition, C, bandwagon, or D, a rhetorical question? Pause this video, figure it out, and then click the next one to see your answer. Correct answer would have been D. Rhetorical questions are used to make a statement. They do not ask a question that someone needs to answer. An example of a rhetorical question is, why is it so difficult to get things started in this school? The writer asks the question but does not expect an answer. The question is really a comment on how hard it is to start a new activity at the school. So we're going to practice. The image contains an example of which persuasive technique? Is it A, euphemism, B, expert opinion, C, peer pressure, or D, leading question? If you answered D, then you are correct. A leading question is phrased in such a way as to get the desired answer. So that flyer asks whether celebrating Labor Day by honoring those who helped build the nation is something that people should do. So the obvious answer is yes. The flyer asks the question in order to motivate people to honor the hard work done by soldiers and laborers who helped develop and protect America. Next one, the image contains an example of which persuasive technique? Is it A, stereotyping, B, bandwagon, C, loaded words, or D, leading questions? If you answered C, you are correct. Loaded words have an emotional impact beyond their actual meaning. For example, the phrase exquisitely delicious and the word refreshing can tempt people into buying these drinks. The soft drink brand is aware of people's preferences in soft drinks and have chosen words that match their needs. And that is it for today's lesson, guys. If you have any questions or you need any more clarification, please feel free to let me know.